Alright, we talked about this last time. If you remember, the newest version of Camtasia for the Mac is incompatible with OS X Yosemite. And I made the decision, be it conscious, unconscious, subconscious, whatever, I'm not going to remove the one I've got on this machine. So what I'm taping right now is not what you see on the screen. What you see on the screen up on here is from the Mac. That's the actual Mac that I've got up here. But what I'm taping is the only thing I can use for Camtasia. So what I have is that first tutorial up here. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we will be going through the same stuff, but it'll look a little bit different. You won't see me doing anything on a Mac. All right? I'd like to spend today and Wednesday, if we need it, hopefully finishing this project. And then next week, we'll just look at some of the stuff from Swift, trying to figure out a way I can get you all at least the first chapter of that book. All right, but they're making it really hard. Tricks and stuff that I used to use, none of the stuff works now. All right, so it might be that I can show it to you next week, but I can't copy it. It won't let me do anything. They keep building a smarter mousetrap, as the saying goes. So. All right, so what we did last time, in case you weren't here last time, is there is a folder out there on the system that is called, out on the P drive for the class, it's 11-26-2014. Yes. Oh crap, we didn't upgrade yours either. Damn it. Oh, good. What did we do to upgrade it? Alright, then I'd try doing that again. Let's see if it'll let you do that. Hold on just a sec. So again, there was a folder last week on Wednesday, if you weren't here, 11-26-2014. And what it has in it, among other things, are a bunch of tutorials by Ray Wenderlich. And we went over most of tutorial 1. We got into Swift. We looked at the playground last week. All right, and we went through the first tutorial, and we were starting on the second one. So that first tutorial was like 8 pages long, and it had in it, by the time you got to the end of the tutorial, page 6 of 8 pages, what we had in there was the playground file and what it should look like at this point. All right. In fact, what they did in this chapter was they had this tutorial in there 3 times. So in other words, if I come in here, you can all see this on your screen now, but if I start up Xcode, and do a file, new, and choose playground, all right, and I don't know if I already have a my playground or not, but I'll call it my playground 2 just to be sure. Click next. All right, save it onto the desktop. Says it already exists. Fine, we'll replace whatever was out there. All right, so there's the playground. That's what we were working on last time. All right, and if I take this and then come in here, bring in tutorial 1. Again, there were 3 tip calculators. One of them that was done without arrays or dictionaries. That was tipcalculator.txt. So if I copy all that, bring my playground back up and paste that back in. There's the first one. All right, so that's the first one that we looked at in class, right? Okay, you may have copied that in, you may have keyed that in yourselves, etc. But what you'll see is, again, when we have a bill that was $30-some, $33.25, at 15%, our tip would be approximately, if we rounded it off, $471. At 18%, it would be $565, and at 20%, it would be $627. All right? So we've talked about all that, and we went over that before. So that was the first one that was in the book. Then what we were told to do after that, after we looked at that first one, on page 6 of 8, they said, well, now go back and replace the contents of the print possible tips, replace it with an array. So I'm going to say on here, save anyway, and then I'm going to take this and here was the array one. All right, and what you'll notice if you take a look is it pretty much looks the same as what we saw before. All right, but again, in this case, we use an array in our function that's called print possible tips as opposed to earlier, okay? And you see this? I want everybody to see this. You may or may not have known this, but if you look up here, see where this says 3 times? Everybody see that? You're like, well, we don't have any output. Yes, you do. If you go over there and you click the plus sign, it'll show it to you, but it actually puts it, then it shows you in the window on the side. See that? So it is there, but it suppresses the output by, you know, when you're in a loop or whatever, by default, it suppresses the output. All right. Then after we did that one, so we did the array. I'm sorry, we did the tip calculator without an array. Then we did the tip calculator with an array, and then finally, all right, we're going to do it one last time here, and in that one last time, that was with a dictionary. So this was the last one right here again with the dictionary. All right. And again, we can click over here and we can see the results. So it's the same thing that we've seen. So in other words, we've done this same program 3 times. The first time with just using quote regular variables, unquote. The second time using an array, and the third time using a dictionary. Does that make sense to everyone? All right. So as far as I'm concerned, we can put that first tutorial that you see here, Swift Tutorial Part 1 from the 11/26/2014 folder, we can put that one to rest. So that one's done. Which brings us up to the second Swift tutorial. So that's where I'm going to pick it up right now. All right. Again, for people who aren't here today for whatever reason, if you didn't hear this before, you're going to see just the Swift tutorial. You won't see me working on it because I have found out that OS X Yosemite is incompatible with the version of Camtasia that I have. And when I went out on the system to check on this, they say, well, you can go and downgrade and put an older version of Camtasia on. I don't want to do that just in case when I try to put this one back on again, it doesn't work. And I just don't want to go through the hassle of doing it. All right, so considering the fact there was only 4 or 5 periods, last Thursday, last Wednesday, this Monday, Wednesday, next Monday, Wednesday, I'm going to stick with what I've got on there and hope that by spring, either A, we have these the non-max provision so we're able to do our stuff on there, or B, there's the compatibility issue is fixed. All right, one or the other. All right, so I'm going through the second tutorial here. And they mention, in fact, I can bring it up here. So what I'm going to show you on the screen right now is the same thing that anybody who's watching the tape is going to see. In other words, I'm bringing up the 13-page PDF from the second tutorial. All right. So it says, in your first tutorial, you learned the basics of Swift, and that's what we just went over, and created your own tip calculator class. Yes, we did both those. In this second tutorial, as it says there, you will learn to make a simple iOS app. Specifically, you will create a user interface for your tip calculator that you developed last time. So what we're going to do is, in conjunction or together with the tip calculator class that we already built, we're now going to add an interface. And the reason, again, I wanted to go through this was in here, in this tutorial, they show you the two ways that you can add your interface, and you can basically wire it up the way we've done it before, and yet another way of doing it. So you can see both those ways. That's the idea behind going through this. If we get through all of this today, cool. Then we'll look at part 3 next time. If it takes this class and next class, I don't really care. All right, but I at least wanted you to see some of this stuff in action. So you have gone through, all right, everybody has gone through, and you've gotten into Swift. You've done a little bit of work with a playground. So you at least have got somewhat of a comfort level with that, or as much of a comfort level as you can get spending a period or so on it. All right? So as it says, we'll create the user interface from our tip calculator class that you developed last time. All right. So the getting started, down near the bottom of the page here. Oops. The author says we want to go into Xcode and we want to start up a new project. All right, and it's going to be a single view app. I'd like you to follow these steps. All right, did I print you out copies of this tutorial last time? Yes or no? Part 2. Do you have this? You look and tell me, because if you didn't, I'll print them out right now. Yes. You've got part 1. I didn't know if you've got part 2 also. Yeah. The password should be BTC followed by the name of your machine, the number of your machine, like 0, 3, and then 4 commas. All right. Yes, that's what I want. So since Teresa has it, probably everybody does. All right, you should have it from last time. So you may want to have that thing up and open as we're going through this. All right. Yes. So what we want to do, I'm going to go back into Xcode right here. So again, I'm just going to follow the instructions here. So we want to come in, and I want to close that playground that I've got open. Actually, I don't. I want to copy everything that's in it. So I'll just put it down here. So you want to go into Xcode and do a file, new, and we want to start up a new project. You know the drill from this before. We want a single view application. All right, and then we want to click next. You can call this one tip calculator. It'll be fine. All right, if you already have a tip calculator, just call it tip calc. That's fine. All right, we'll leave all the stuff we put in here before. The language will not be Objective-C, though, as you see on your screen. We want to choose Swift. Everybody hear that? So if you look up on the screen here, you want to make sure that you've chosen everything that I've got up here. All right? So the name, the organization, etc., the identifier, that can be yours. That's fine. The language should be Swift. The device should be iPhone, and the use core data, we won't get into that till very late next semester. Just leave that unchecked. All right? Go to next. Where do you want to save it? Right on the desktop. All right, so I'm going to click Create, and that should start it up. So that's everything that's on page 1. You know, they tell you, they say, well, then run it because you'll see this cool white screen. No, I don't want to run it and see a cool white screen. We've already done that before. All right, so I'm not going to do that. Now, I'm following what's in this PDF that you have in front of you and that I have for people who are watching this on tape. All right, not what you see on the screen here because I don't have split screen capability. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. You have to have the playground file open, and then you just switch over to it. So I've already got my playground file open. All right, so if your playground file isn't open, you're either going to have to open that, okay, and or if you're not going to open that, you're going to have to key this stuff in again, which probably you don't want to do. All right, you've already got the completed project too. All right, it should be in there someplace. So what the first thing we're told to do is to grab this playground, the stuff that we had in the playground, and it says here that we want to copy all of the code that was in here. And I don't want this. What's that? All right, thank you. All right. So I want to copy all of this, and again, you know, I can do a command A, but we don't want that let that's down here. We just want everything from on line 35 and up. All right. So I'm going to copy that, and then we're told to go into our Xcode project. All right, and we're going to want to paste that in. All right. I took the last one because the last one is the one that had the dictionary in it. Yeah. Well, hold on, just one sec. For some reason, I just made my project go bye-bye. So. All right. So you should have something that looks similar to this that's in here right now. Notice what's changed. All right, we talked about this a little bit before. Yes, there's no .h's and there's no .m's. Everything is put inside of a .swift file. All right? So, what we're told to do in here on page 2 of this handout is we're told now, it says, let's add this class to your project. Okay? So do a file, new, file, and we want to come up into here Okay? And we want to select iOS, source, and what we want to choose in here is Swift file, which is right here. All right? Did we go through that too fast? Did it make sense? All right. So I can either double click on it or single click on it and choose next. All right. And it says, what do we want to save it as? All right. Well, what we're going to want to save this as is, they tell us we want to call this tip calculator model. All right. So there it is, tip calculator model, import foundation. And then underneath that, I'm going to paste in everything that I had before, but we're supposed to change the name here from tip calculator to tip calculator model. All right. So what have we done so far? We took what we did in the playground and copied it into a Swift file. Why? Because we don't want to work with a playground now. This is going to be the model, and we're going to build a GUI for it, and that model is what we're going to use so that when we key things into the GUI and click the buttons, this is the code that's going to end up running in the background. Does that make sense? When we did the tip calculator in iOS, we literally hard-coded everything in. But now we're creating a generic class that we're going to end up using in here. So it tells us what we're supposed to do here. It says rename the class tip calculator model. I've done that. Next, it says change total and tax percentages into variables. So that's got to be var, and that's got to be var. All right, so I've changed those two. It says because of this, you need to change subtotal to a computed property. So this will also be var, but we want it to look the way it shows in the book there. So we want it to say var subtotal double. Actually, I don't even need all those parens. All right. So after we've done this, again, I'm still on page 2, but steps 1, 2, and 3 are what are shown up on the screen here on the overhead. We are told to change the name to tip calculator model, to change these, which were all lets, meaning they were constants, change all of them to vars, and for our subtotal, put this in. Now you notice we're getting an error here. Don't worry about that. We haven't gotten to that point yet. But what I'm most concerned with is that you've got the stuff in the first 20 or so lines so that yours looks the same way that mine looks up on the screen here. that? Which semicolon? Oh, you don't need it. You can put it there, but you don't need it. Hold on just a second. All right, what's your number? It should be Blackhawk Tech College 03 at gmail.com. And the password should be BTC03 and 4 commas. All right, then I'm going to have to do it a different way. No, it's not, nothing that he's doing. Yeah. lovely way that this works, because I changed the password and I can't remember it. So now I had to contact Gmail, and they have to send a code to my phone so I can log in, so I can change the password. There's the code. This is what we did. We went over this first tutorial last time, and we're starting to go on to this one right now. And of course, I don't have the flash drive with me today, because I took all the stuff that we did last time and we passed it around. See, it's on, unfortunately, it's on that machine that you can't get into, but it's not on this one. So again, I'm trying to follow the steps in the tutorial, and I'm now on step 4 that's on page 3. It says delete the line that sets the subtotal in init. So that's the line that's giving us the error right here, line 27 on mine. They literally tell you to come in here and delete this line. And it's gone. All right. It says delete any comments that are in the file. Well, I don't have any comments in there, so that's a moot point. I don't have to put that in. All right, it says when you're done, your file should look like this. So please look up on your screen right now. All right, and make sure that what's up there is what you have. This, you don't have to do that set. No, they're just telling you you can put that in there if you want to. Notice they put, it wouldn't matter because there's no code in it. See, there's just a comment right there. They said you could have put in a set if you wanted to, but you don't need to. All right. So again, this is what yours should look like. Come on, there, right there. And that's everything except for the last. There's a couple curly braces at the bottom, but other than that, that's exactly what yours should look like. It says when you're done, your file should look like this. And I hate doing this. This is somebody else's. See if I have a flash drive in here. If I do, I'll copy that file over for you. Zach. So again, ideally at least, this that you see up on the screen right here looks the same as what you see in the PDF on page 3. So PDF for Swift Tutorial Part 2. And I'm looking right here just to double check and make sure it looks the same. So as far as I can tell, what you see on your screen is the exact same thing that you see in page 3 on the PDF. All right. When I get all done today, I'll take everything that I've got, that I've been working on, and I will save it. I will put it in a folder that will have today's date on it. All right. Okay. So turning to page 4 of the PDF, they say there, Introduction to Storyboards and Interface Builder. Well, that would all be review for you because we've already gone over Storyboards and we've already gone over Interface Builder. All right? So they say there's a lot of stuff that, you know, that you need to be aware of. So again, if I click the main storyboard file right here, come on. What they're getting to, if you look up on the screen right here, all right, the author says there's a lot of stuff to cover, so let's go through each section one at a time. It says on the far left is your project navigator. Well, you know what that is already. All right. On the left of that is the outline, and that's right here. That's what you see in here. All right. It says be sure to click down arrows each time to fully expand the document outline. So what they're saying is if you click, you'll notice there's more stuff in here. Okay? It says there is an arrow to the left of the view controller. This indicates the initial view controller, etc., etc. Well, I don't even see that I've got anything in here in mine. I don't know if you've got anything in yours or not. All right? Got that. I think this is a real good time to take our break. All right. So we're on page 4. I'm going to try to get back up to speed. Let's come back. It's 3:45. Let's come back at 4 o'clock, please.